New York Mets owner Steve Cohen is trying to improve on his $2.4 billion investment with spending over $750 million on newly acquired Juan Soto. This is a deal that is believed to be the largest sports contract in American history. Let's get into it because there's a lot of layers here. There's some funny money here. There's some lies and misinformation being thrown about. Let's tap in. Okay, let's get to the nuts and bolts of the contract. It is a 15-year, $765 million contract. This is the Mets going out there and spending big bread. Steve Cohen's promised that he's a super fan that just happens to be a billionaire, and he's trying to invest into this team. Now, one thing is that he took this guy from the Yankees. Soto leaves the Yankees, leaves the Bronx, and heads over to Queens. That's a big deal because the Mets rarely outbid the Yankees in getting a premier free agent. So you're getting Juan Soto, not only, and he hasn't even reached the prime of his career yet. So you're talking about a guy that, at least for the 5 years, he's got a 5-year thing before he can opt out and potentially re-up again. So that's how crazy this contract is. It's 15 years, $765 million. But in actuality, it's just locked in for the next 5 years before Soto can opt out again. So you're paying for the next 5 years guaranteed of Juan Soto's prime, you would assume. So the contract breaks down as this. Now, again, this is just a rough estimate of the contract. This isn't the finalized, complete contract numbers. Those have not been given out, right? But this is the estimation of how the contract is going to look. 51 for the first 5 years, $51 million per year for the first 5 years with the opt-out after the 5th year. So to me, that makes this basically a 5-year deal. Even though it's 15 years, $765 million, this is essentially 5 years, $51 million with a $75 million signing bonus, because Juan Soto could walk away after this deal. After 5 years, Juan Soto could walk away. Now, of course, the Mets hope that the team is good and that Soto is good, so that Juan Soto would think that there's no reason for me to walk away. I'll go ahead and collect the next 10 years of this contract. But if you're Juan Soto, and more importantly, if you're Scott Boras, his agent, who is notorious for making sure his clients get the bag, why would you ever take the next 10 years of this deal? If anything, you want to get this 5 years, $51 million per with the $75 million signing bonus, and then you want to opt out when your client is still 30 and still arguably in the prime of his career, and bang him again for another $750 million or maybe actual $1 billion, depending on how good he is over these next 5 years. Like, to me, it's not funny money like the NFL, but it's almost akin to that because of the structure of it, because you have to structure this contract in a deal where you don't want to sign away too long of your career, too long of your prime. Like, this man's going to be 26 years old when his contract begins. In baseball, you have at least 7, 8 years of your prime at that age. And he's already top tier. So he's not even reached the apex of his powers. So if you're trying to get somebody to maximize your value every single time, you want to create some flexibility to be able to re-up. And with this deal, he has the option to re-up after 5 years, being able to opt out and bang him again, or go somewhere else and bang him again. Like, the numbers are splashy. The numbers are going to grab headlines. The numbers are going to make people think this is the largest contract in all sports, even though we got to be careful because Ronaldo is over there getting that Saudi money, and that Saudi money is long to the point that it's undisclosed how much money he's actually getting. But in regards to contract value, actual value, this is the largest contract in American sports for sure, $765 million. I'm sitting here telling you there's no way that Juan Soto is going to finish out this 15-year contract with the Mets. There's no way, because if you can opt out after 5 years and you're still him and you're still ascending, why would you sit and just take $51 million more for the rest of this contract? Why would you do that? At that point, you could probably bang him for 60 or bang him for 70. Why would you put yourself in a position where you're locked in for the next 10 years at the same money with no raises? Why would you ever do that? So while everyone's going to go crazy over this deal, that 15 years, $765 million, the fact of the matter is it's really just 5 years, $51 million per with a $75 million signing bonus. But that's not going to grab headlines. Here's where the finer details are finally starting to come out. Allegedly. So let's take that number. He makes 5 years at $51 million per with the $75 million signing bonus. If he decides to remain a Met, he'll only get a $4 million raise for the rest of the contract. Again, My point still remains the same. If you're still him at 30, you only want a $4 million bump? He's gonna crack him again. Like there's no way you take a $4 million raise. Like there's no way that's the only in that sport. If this was football, it'd be something different. But in baseball, with that players union, there's no way that they allow that man. If he's still an MVP candidate, if he's still one of the best players in all of baseball, there is no way that they allow that man to only take a $4 million raise for the next decade. For the next decade, that part. It's not like half the contract you get that 51, then the back half you get another 4 per year. It's not like you get a 4 per year per year. It's not like it goes from 55 to 59 to 63. It's just no 55 all the way through. No way, absolutely, positively, no way that happens. We can debate about how much better the Mets are, but you cannot mistake the fact that the Mets are a better team now signing Juan Soto. And that's just something that the Mets are not accustomed to being a part of. Like, the Mets usually swing and miss in free agency, or they get guys that are over the hill and they overpay for them. This is a guy in Soto who is in the prime of his career. The Mets are paying for the next 5 years of it. And that, to me, is what makes this deal even more surprising than the fact that they were able to convince Soto to leave the boogie down Bronx and the Yankees and slide over to Queens. It's the fact that a player in his prime chose the Mets over the Yankees. Now we know, and there's been a lot of misinformation about why Soto chose the Mets. There was the PR spin about, well, he believes the Mets have a better future than the Yankees. The fact of the matter is that the Mets offered more money than the Yankees. The misnomer about the Shohei Ohtani deal is that even though it's 10 years, $700 million, it's not really 10 years, $700 million. Now, it's not like football where the money isn't really guaranteed. The money is guaranteed. It's just the money with the Dodgers, the contract structure that Shohei Ohtani did, the money is deferred. Like Shohei only got $2 million last year. So again, imagine the return on the investment for the Dodgers where they were able to get a World Series with Shohei Ohtani being a prominent member of that, and they only paid him $2 million for it. Breaking down the contract, Andrew Brandt, still seeing many refer to the Ohtani deal as 10 years, $700 million. I get it, splashy number, what the agents went out there, but the real deal is, one, the present value of 10 years, $460 million. The second piece of that is that when it's fully vested and the money is fully paid out, it'll be 20 years, $700 million. Because again, the money was deferred. A big chunk of the money, as you can see here, about $340 million, or about $240 million of it, was deferred. So the present value in terms of the contract value, the money that's not deferred, the money that he's actually going to be paid out is 10 years of $460 million. Then he's got the back end with another 10 years, and then $240 million on top of that to be paid out over the 10 years after that first contract is done. So the structure of the Ohtani contract is immensely better than what the Mets just did with, Juan Soto. The Juan Soto deal is here's the bread, take it. Steve Cohen included a Citi Field suite for Soto's family in his Mets deal. So not only was it allegedly choosing the Mets 15 years as opposed to 16 years with the Yankees, not only was it $765 million total value with the Mets as opposed to $760 with the Yankees, but it's also now including a suite for his family as opposed to not getting a suite and having to come out of pocket and pay for a suite with the Yankees. These are all the things that are being reported as to why Soto chose the Mets, because Yankee fans are up in arms. Yankee fans don't know what to do with themselves. They're not used to being second fiddle in any kind of manner when it comes to the Mets. They're used to being big bro and little bro in the Mets from here to eternity. That's been the history through my lifetime and through your lifetime and probably your parents' lifetime. That's what it's always been historically. With this contract, Steve Cohen's trying to change the identity of the Mets. The Mets were known as a poverty franchise. The Mets are little bro to the New York Yankees. With this deal and signing Juan Soto, he is trying to change that identity. He is trying to change the culture. This is a culture shift move, if it works. And that's something that is always the thing. Like Juan Soto could come now with that $765 million contract. That's not really that. And he can trick this off. And then the Mets will go back to being a laughing stock, go back to being a poverty franchise, and remain Lil Bro to the New York Yankees. But to make that move, to change the culture, you have to try. And I applaud Steve Cohen for at least trying to upgrade the New York Mets.